Illinois Comptroller Susanna Mendoza was in Springfield today celebrating Pride Month. 3 members of Central Illinois LGBTQ+ community were honored as trailblazers. Capitol Bureau Chief Max Cotton explains what the ceremony meant for honorees.
We're here, obviously, to celebrate the accomplishments of the LGBTQ+ community over the years and the bravery that members have shown in the face of ignorance and too often hate.
Tuesday, Illinois Comptroller Susanna Mendoza celebrated 3 of those members, including Kat Parker, co-founder of the SAGE Project in Jacksonville.
The goal of the project is to provide local tweens and teens with a safe space where they can express themselves without judgment, they can talk about personal and social issues, and make new friends.
Sometimes we have 2 kids, sometimes we have 12, 15 kids. I don't care if it's just one. If we help one child, one teenager, then we're succeeding.
Joining Parker as an honoree this year is Derek Kimler. He's the executive director of Central Illinois Friends. Based in Normal, Peoria, and Galesburg, the organization serves 15 Central Illinois counties.
The group manages programs that support people living with HIV, such as Free Sexual Health Clinic, which provides STD testing and helps those already diagnosed with HIV with things like access to care and transportation to appointments.
And then we also have programming for LGBTQ+ individuals. In fact, we are opening currently the first LGBTQ+ community center in Peoria, Illinois.
He says he's honored to receive the award Tuesday, but the event is not about him.
I think an event like this shows that anyone watching this station who might still be struggling because they're surrounded by people that don't accept them, that you aren't alone. This isn't new. This hasn't been new. LGBTQ+ community has been around for centuries, and we got to continue to honor and show pride.
Illinois is truly proud to have you as residents in our great state.